Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan have traded blame for fighting on their border that has killed at least 24 people, wounded dozens, and prompted a mass evacuation. Kyrgyzstan's health ministry said early on Saturday that 24 bodies had been delivered to hospitals in the Batken region that borders Tajikistan. An additional 87 people were wounded, the ministry said. Clashes on the border that began earlier this week grew into large scale fighting on Friday involving tanks, artillery, and rocket launchers. As part of the shelling, Tajik forces struck the regional capital Batken with rockets. Kyrgyzstan's emergencies ministry said 136,000 people were evacuated from the area engulfed by the fighting. It was not immediately clear what prompted the fighting on the tense border between the two former Soviet Central Asian neighbors. An attempt to establish a ceasefire quickly failed on Friday, and artillery shelling resumed later in the day. Border guard chiefs of the two countries met at about midnight and agreed to create a joint monitoring group work to help end hostilities. It was not immediately clear whether the meeting had any effect on the fighting. From the Tajik side, shelling of the positions of the Kyrgyz side continues, and in some areas intense battles are going on, it said. A Tajikistan government news portal citing its border guard services said Kyrgyz forces were reinforcing their positions and had opened fire on 3 border villages. In 2021, a dispute over water rights and the installation of surveillance cameras by Tajikistan led to clashes near the border that killed at least 55 people. Both countries host Russian military bases. Earlier on Friday, Moscow urged a cessation of hostilities. Omarov said both governments had come to rely on what he called populist nationalist rhetoric that made an exchange of territory aimed at ending the conflict impossible. According to a statement, the two leaders discussed the border situation and agreed to task the relevant authorities with pulling back troops and stopping the fighting. Another Central Asian analyst, Alexander, said that two sides showed no will to resolve the conflict peacefully, and the mutual territorial claims provoked aggressive attitudes on all levels. He said only third party peacekeepers could prevent further conflicts by establishing a demilitarized zone.